Hi, I'm Paul, the Running Shoe Guru. This is Marathon Handbook, and today we're looking at how to help you achieve a 5-minute mile. My best time for the mile dates back a few years, but it's 3 minutes 56. Now, I ran that mile race in a road race on the mile, but on the track I did run 4:01. This year I have ran a mile in 4 minutes 59 at age 55, as well as a 2:40 marathon in Berlin. We're going to explore what it takes to run a 5-minute mile, ideas or things that you can implement into your training to help you achieve that goal. And whilst you may not be a miler per se or such specific that being your event, being able to run a 5-minute mile will help you at lots of other distances from 5k all the way up to the marathon. There's a great benefit besides being fast over a mile in how it can help you with the other distances you may be competing at. But for 5k for starters, if you wanted to perhaps break the 16-minute barrier, being able to run 1 mile in 5 minutes, well, 5k, 3.1 miles, 3 5-minute miles is 15 minutes, and 0.1 of the mile would be 30 seconds, so you've got a 1-minute gap. So you can hopefully, given strength training or the stamina endurance training, you put in 3 miles at 5:20s back to back, and then you've got your 16-minute achieved. But if you can run 1 single mile in 5:20s, it gives you the confidence, it gives you the pure speed to be able to go out at 5:20s and feel comfortable through the first couple of miles in a 5k race, and then it's a case of kicking on for that final third of the race to hit that 16-minute goal. So there's a lot of other benefits to be able to run at a 5-minute mile. Marathon, for example, like if you can run the mile in 5 minutes, the 5k in 16 minutes. Personally, for me, I ran 2:40 this year. I did run the mile in 5 minutes. I ran a 5k park run here in the UK in 16:30. So when I moved up the distance, I was able to kind of hold that 6:10 kind of pace for the marathon distance. It was a little bit slower than I hoped for, but I was still relatively pleased with that 2:40. When I was younger, I was always a miler. That was what I wanted to be, and before moving up to 5k, half marathon, and eventually now, as I've got older and a little bit slower, the marathon, I always wanted to be a miler. I wanted to run 4 minutes for the mile. I still try and hold on to some of that speed because I do believe it is a benefit for everything else. First of all, we've got to look at some of the stepping stones in how you can hit 5 minutes. So I'm going to make some assumptions. I'm going to assume that if you're looking at a 5-minute mile, then you're already under 6 minutes for 1 mile. So how do you get quicker? And I think really it's a case of looking at the speed work, the interval work, that kind of stuff that you're already doing and how you can improve that. 1 mile, it's 1,609 meters. It's 4 laps and 9 meters on a standard running track. Many of you will know a measured mile distance near to your home, and it would be good to kind of measure out some other distances as well. And I'd probably go with 400 meters or quarter of a mile, half a mile, mile, and mile and a half. So you know these stepping stones, and you might even find those on Strava. You'll find segments that kind of work for this distance, or you can measure them yourself if you're not able to go down to the track. But breaking it down, for the 5-minute mile, you've got to run 4 times 400 meters, 4 laps the track in just under 75 seconds. That is the initial target you want to be looking at when it comes to planning and executing your Speedwork sessions. Now, many of you will already be doing intervals or repetition type sessions, and if you're aiming to do a 5-minute mile, these are vital. You need to be doing what we'll call speed work. You need to be doing probably 2 speedwork sessions a week if you're going to hit this goal. One of them I would make a little bit longer, maybe 800 meter repetitions. One of them I would make a little bit shorter, so 2 or 400 meter repetitions. The total volume of that session only has to be typically 2 to 2.5 miles in total. So if you're doing half-mile reps, 4 or 5 of them, 2.5 miles in total. If you're doing 400 meter reps, 8 to 10. The interval, well, first of all, the repetition itself, the speed work, you're going to be aiming for that 75-second target per 400 meters. So let's start there. Start off with 8 times 400 meters at 75 seconds with 2 minutes recovery. Now, I would take a walking type recovery with this. Don't stand around, you'll stiffen up, don't bend over. Then you want to aim to do 8. If you do 6 and then you do 80 seconds or 85 seconds for the final 2, then you've got to just keep at it. You've got to repeat this session the following week and the week after that. The first target you want to get to is be able to do 8 of these reps with a 2-minute recovery. And then you can go either way. You can either decrease the recovery the following week, so you can go to 1 minute 45 for your recovery, keeping at the 75-second target, or keeping with a 2-minute target, you can try and go a little bit quicker, so you can aim for 74s, 73s, 72s, etc. And see what the average pace of your session is. You might start off, you might do a 76, then a 74. You'll kind of know yourself if you're hitting that target zone. Once you've hit that, that's when you need to chip away at either the recovery, so you're in the same speed of less recovery, or you're getting a little bit quicker. Ideally, it would be great if you could hit 75 seconds per lap for 8 repetitions off a 1-minute recovery. That would be, for me, ideal, and that would indicate that I think you're ready to go for a 5-minute mile. Of course, in the mile there are no recoveries, it's just a straight 4 laps, but that's why in the sessions you're doing 8 times the repetition, and when we take away the recovery, hopefully, if you've been able to hit that target, you'll be able to replicate that in a race or your timed effort, your time trial. If you're doing 2 sessions a week, typically back in the day when I was a track runner, when I was a youngster, we would do Speedwork sessions on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Tuesdays would be the longer session, Thursdays the shorter one. You can mix it up however you like, but essentially that target pace of 75 seconds per 400 meters is where you want to be at, okay, or 5-minute mile pace on your watch. That's what you want it to be displaying. You can knock that down to 200 meter sprints, but it should feel very relaxed as well at that kind of pace. So it needs to feel relaxed. It is an effort, it is a sprint. It's not an easy thing to do a 5-minute mile. A lot of people can't do it, never mind 4 minutes, but 5 minutes is a tough ask. Plan the weeks out ahead of you, how you're going to attack this. And I think you can work it into other distances as well. If you are training for a 5K, then just break it down and look at the target times, think about that recovery, and building it into your weekly program. I think that as you increase the speed, you'll also find that when you come to run that 5K race, you'll feel faster and more relaxed, and you'll be surprised, and I think you'll probably run a personal best, personal record. When you're working things into a weekly schedule, I think 4 or 5 runs a week is the minimum if you want to be able to do a 5-minute mile, and you're probably already doing that anyway. If you're a 5K runner, you need to be doing an hour's steady run on a Sunday. You're doing 2 Speedwork sessions, and I will put in 2 easy runs as well. Of course, running a 5-minute mile is a combination of strength and speed. The speed is taken care of with the trike or road interval sessions. Strength, simple body weight exercises will help your overall conditioning. Lunges, squats, don't even need weight on a bar. I often do the Olympic bar, 20 kilograms, simple squats, lunges, 10 squats, 10 lunges, left, 10 lunges right. Very simple session, and simply things like press-ups, sit-ups on a daily basis, just for general conditioning. But I think the squats and the lunges definitely help, and you kind of notice a difference when you do those. They do give you a little bit of core and leg strength, particularly when you're picking the speed up. Lots of combinations for those sessions, 8 400s, 16 200s. I don't think you really need to go quick, do 100-meter sprints. That's probably too much like flat out efforts. You could do 2 times a mile, again 2 minutes recovery, aim to do them in 5:30. As always with any training plan, small progressive stepping stones is the way to go. Look at your pace, look at where you are now, you can see where you want to be. Divide those sessions up into that target steps. So if you're only running 80s right now, next session try and aim for 79, 78s when you get down to 75s, and then increase either the number of reps or the speed, or decrease that interval recovery. Patience is always the key with any training plan, and consistency is vital as well. You've got to stay healthy, you've got to stay fit and not be carrying any injuries. In terms of warm-ups, 1 or 2 miles is essential warm-up before doing an interval session, and a couple of miles cool down as well, very easy jogging. You might want to do a few strides before you dive into the intervals. It's just a case of loosening up, you don't want to be pulling anything, just building easily into the session. Some of you may be familiar with the V.Training tool. It's an online tool, and this allows you to enter a distance from mile to up to marathon and a time that you've already hit. And it will give you a set of training zones, paces to work at to improve that particular speed at that particular distance. You can see essentially what you should or may be capable of based on your actual time. So for example, and I've not looked this one up, but let's say you've done a 3-hour marathon, 2:59.59. It will say, okay, you should be able to achieve a 6-minute mile. Now, if you can't run a mile in 6 minutes, it's an indicator of something where you can improve. So you can see the improvement or the potential to improve there for your marathon if you can bring your mile time down. So it's basically using a formula based on what you should be expected to be able to achieve given the specific training for each distance. So train more as a mile focused athlete, hit that time, but at the same time you should get faster at the marathon. So everything is relative, and you should see an improvement at other distances as well. Running a mile in 5 minutes is not a hard and fast formula to do that. There's lots of variables and they're all personal to you. A lot of the principles when training for any distance are all the same, and I'll always say to people, whether we're talking about this 5-minute mile, it's those training principles that apply the same to an 8-minute mile. A 2:30 marathon training schedule is relative to a 4-hour marathon. It's the times are a little bit slower, but it's the same type of workouts that you want to be doing, what I would be implementing into your weekly schedule. Any comments, any questions, do add them below. I always endeavour to reply to any comment or question that people add to any of these videos. Hope this was useful. If you follow some of those tips for a few weeks and you have a go at a mile, do post below what worked for you, what time you hit, whether it was sub 5 or just outside. Let us know how you got on. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a little thumbs up, a little like there. And if you're not already subscribing, again, we'd be really grateful if you were to do so. Thanks very much, and good luck with your mile attempt.